Dr. Ifeanyi Obasi was a renowned surgeon based in the United States. Known for his exceptional skills and compassionate nature, he had earned a stellar reputation in his field. Despite his success, Ifeanyi always made time to return to his homeland, Nigeria, to celebrate the holidays with his family. This year was no different. As he navigated through the bustling JFK airport, Ifeanyi couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. He was looking forward to reconnecting with his roots and enjoying the warmth of the Nigerian sun. After checking in, he made his way to the business lounge, eager to relax before his long flight. Settling into a plush chair, Ifeanyi ordered a cup of coffee and pulled out his tablet, intending to catch up on some reading. His attention was diverted when he noticed a young woman seated across from him. She was stunning, with a vibrant presence that seemed to light up the room. She was engrossed in her phone, her fingers flying across the screen as she updated her followers on her latest adventure. Curiosity got the better of Ifeanyi, and he struck up a conversation. "Excuse me, I couldn't help but notice you seem quite busy. Are you a writer?" The young woman looked up, her eyes sparkling with interest. "Oh, hi. No, I'm not a writer. I'm a social media influencer. My name's Ebere, by the way. And you?" "Ifeanyi. I'm a surgeon." "It's nice to meet you, Ebere." Their conversation flowed effortlessly from there. They talked about their backgrounds, their passions, and their plans for the holidays. Ifeanyi learned that Ebere had built a large following on social media, sharing lifestyle tips, travel vlogs, and motivational content. Ebere was intrigued by Ifeanyi's career and the life he had built in the United States. When it was time to board the plane, they were pleasantly surprised to discover they were both flying first class on the same plane. As they settled into their seats, Ebere found herself wishing she could continue their conversation. She glanced at the passenger seated next to Ifeanyi, then made a bold decision. "Excuse me," she said to the woman beside Ifeanyi. "Would you mind switching seats with me? I'd really like to sit next to my friend here." The woman smiled warmly. "Of course, dear." With that, Ebere moved to the seat next to Ifeanyi, and their conversation resumed. They talked about their favorite Nigerian dishes, the places they planned to visit, and their hopes for the future. Time flew by, and before they knew it, the plane was descending into Murtala Muhammad International Airport. As they disembarked, Ifeanyi and Ebere exchanged contact information. They were disappointed to learn that Ifeanyi was headed to Abuja while Ebere was continuing on to Lagos, but they promised to keep in touch. "Maybe we can meet up sometime while we're both here," Ebere suggested. "I'd like that," Ifeanyi replied, smiling. "I'd like that very much." With a final wave, they went their separate ways, each feeling a sense of anticipation for what the future might hold. As Ifeanyi made his way to his connecting flight, he couldn't help but feel grateful for the chance encounter. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of something he might never recover from. After they parted ways at the airport, both Ifeanyi and Ebere couldn't resist the urge to learn more about each other. They quickly glanced through each other's social media profiles, discovering shared interests and mutual friends. Ebere admired Ifeanyi's dedication to his profession and his involvement in various charitable causes, while Ifeanyi was impressed by Ebere's creativity and her positive impact on her followers. Their conversations continued through messages and calls, and it wasn't long before they realized they had grown quite fond of each other. When Ebere found out that Burna Boy was performing in Lagos soon, she excitedly suggested they attend the concert together, and Ifeanyi eagerly agreed. The night of the concert was electric. The energy in the air was palpable as they arrived at the venue. Ifeanyi and Ebere sang along to their favorite songs, danced, and enjoyed every moment of the spectacular show. As the concert ended, Ebere, still buzzing with excitement, suggested they continue the night at a popular club nearby. "Let's keep the fun going," she said, her eyes sparkling. "I know a great spot just a few minutes away." Ifeanyi, caught up in her enthusiasm, smiled and nodded. "Lead the way." The club was vibrant and lively, filled with people dancing and enjoying the music. Ifeanyi and Ebere found a spot near the dance floor and continued to dance and laugh, losing themselves in the rhythm of the music and the joy of each other's company. They ordered drinks, shared stories, and took pictures, capturing the unforgettable night. As the night wore on, they found a quieter corner of the club to sit and talk. The music was still loud, but in that moment, it felt like they were the only two people in the room. "I'm really glad we met," Ifeanyi said, looking into Ebere's eyes. "This has been one of the best nights I've had in a long time." "Me too," Ebere replied, smiling warmly. "I feel like I've known you forever." They continued talking until the early hours of the morning, sharing their dreams, fears, and hopes for the future. As the club began to wind down, they decided it was time to leave. They stepped outside into the cool Lagos night, the city still alive with energy. "I'll make sure you get home safely," Ifeanyi said, hailing a cab. Ebere smiled. "Thank you, Ifeanyi. Tonight was amazing. But I drove. Would you like to come over to my place for some tea?" she asked, her eyes inviting and warm. Ifeanyi, feeling an undeniable connection, obliged. "I'd love that." They got into Ebere's car and drove through the quiet streets of Lagos. When they arrived at her loft, Ifeanyi was taken aback by its beauty and elegance. The space was a perfect reflection of Ebere's personality, stylish, vibrant, and welcoming. "Make yourself comfortable," Ebere said, leading him to the living room. "I'll get the tea ready." As Ebere busied herself in the kitchen, Ifeanyi took in his surroundings. The loft was adorned with art pieces, photographs, and cozy furnishings. It was clear that Ebere had a keen eye for design. A few moments later, Ebere returned with 2 steaming cups of tea. They settled on the couch, sipping their tea and continuing their conversation from earlier. The atmosphere was relaxed and intimate, and the chemistry between them grew stronger with each passing minute. As the night wore on, their conversation became more personal, and the attraction between them was undeniable. Ebere set her cup down and moved closer to Ifeanyi, her eyes locking with his. "I've felt a connection with you since the moment we met," she whispered. Ifeanyi gently cupped her face in his hands. "I feel the same way, Ebere." Their lips met in a tender kiss, which quickly deepened with passion. They moved from the couch to Ebere's bedroom, where they made sweet love all night long. Early the next morning, as they were sleeping, the door of the loft opened, and a very tall, ripped, and well-built man walked into the room. "What the hell is going on here?" he bellowed. Ifeanyi and Ebere jolted awake. Ebere's face turned pale as she recognized the man. "Oh my God, babe, you're back early." Cheek, Ebere's husband, glared at them. His eyes filled with rage. "What is this, Ebere? Who is this man?" He began to look around, searching for something to use as a weapon. Ifeanyi, who hadn't realized she was married, immediately began to freak out. "I'm so sorry, I didn't know she was married. Please, let's talk about this." Ebere tried to calm Cheek down, but he was beyond reasoning. "Cheek, please, let's talk. It's not what you think." But Cheek was having none of it. In his fury, he found a heavy lamp and wielded it menacingly. Ifeanyi, still trying to put on his clothes, was caught off guard. As he attempted to make his way to the door, Cheek rushed him and knocked him to the ground. Cheek's fists came down hard, and Ifeanyi struggled to defend himself. "Please, stop! I didn't know! I didn't know!" he shouted, trying to shield his face. Ebere was frantic, trying to pull Cheek off Ifeanyi. "Cheek, stop! You're going to kill him! Please, stop!" Finally, with a surge of adrenaline, Ifeanyi managed to push Cheek off and scramble to his feet. Bleeding and bruised, he backed towards the door. Ebere, tears streaming down her face, looked at Ifeanyi with a mix of sorrow and regret. "Hurry, run!" she yelled. Ifeanyi didn't wait for more explanations. He bolted out of the door, leaving the chaotic scene behind and wearing just his underwear pant. As he ran down the stairs and out of the building, he could still hear Cheek's angry shouts and Ebere's desperate pleas. Heart pounding and mind reeling, Ifeanyi hailed a cab and gave the driver his address. As the cab sped through the early morning streets of Lagos, Ifeanyi tried to process what had just happened. He felt a mixture of anger, betrayal, and a deep sadness. The connection he had felt with Ebere had been shattered in an instant. As Ifeanyi sat, trying to calm his racing thoughts, it dawned on him that he had left his bag at Ebere's loft. His bag containing his passport, all of his money, and crucial documents. Panic surged through him. He tried calling Ebere's phone, but to his dismay, her husband Cheek picked up. "Who is this?" Cheek's voice was sharp and angry. "Please, this is Ifeanyi," he began, trying to keep his voice steady. "I left my bag at your place. It has my passport and money. Ebere never told me she was married. This was a misunderstanding. Please, let me come and get my things." Cheek's response was cold and menacing. "Don't call this number again. Your belongings are gone. If I see you near my wife or my home, you'll regret it." The line went dead. Ifeanyi sat in stunned silence, the weight of his situation crashing down on him. He was scheduled to leave for the United States in a few days for a critical surgery that only he had the specialty to perform. If he didn't make it in time, his patient might die, and he could lose his job. Desperation and fear clawed at him. In a moment of clarity, Ifeanyi decided to call his friend Emeka, who worked with the Department of State Services, DSS. He quickly explained the situation, and Emeka assured him that he would look into it immediately. Within hours, Emeka and his team began their investigation. As they dug deeper, they uncovered a pattern of deceit. It became clear that Ebere and Cheek were part of a scheme that involved setting up unsuspecting victims, defrauding them, or demanding ransom. The DSS moved swiftly. Ebere and Cheek were apprehended, and under questioning, they admitted to their crimes. They had targeted Ifeanyi, assuming he was an easy mark due to his status as a successful surgeon. Their plan had backfired thanks to Ifeanyi's quick thinking and connections. With the situation resolved, Emeka returned Ifeanyi's belongings to him. Ifeanyi felt a wave of relief as he held his passport and money, knowing he could now return to the United States. However, there was one thing he couldn't shake: the need to know if any part of his connection with Ebere had been real. Before he left, he pleaded with Emeka to grant him an audience with Ebere. "Emeka, I need to see her. I need to know if any of it meant anything," Ifeanyi said, his voice filled with a mix of desperation and lingering hope. Emeka hesitated, but eventually agreed. "All right, Ifeanyi, I'll arrange it, but you need to be prepared for whatever she might say." When Ifeanyi met Ebere, she was behind bars, her once warm and inviting demeanor replaced by a cold, unremorseful expression. Ifeanyi's heart sank as he approached her. "Ebere," he began, his voice trembling, "I just need to know, was any of it real? Did you feel anything for me, or was it all just a game?" Ebere's gaze was icy, and her words cut deep. "You were just another mark, Ifeanyi. It was always a game. I'm sorry you got hurt, but that's how it is." Ifeanyi's heart broke as he realized he had fallen for such a cheap scam. The connection he had felt, the moments they had shared, all shattered by her cold indifference. He felt a profound sense of betrayal and foolishness. With nothing left to say, Ifeanyi turned and walked away, the weight of Ebere's words heavy on his shoulders. He knew he had to move on, but the pain was still fresh. As he boarded his flight back, Ifeanyi reflected on the whirlwind of events. The betrayal and danger he had faced had taught him a harsh lesson about trust and the darker sides of human nature. He felt gratitude for his friend Emeka and the DSS, whose intervention had saved his career and potentially his patient's life.